Meet every Monday to have our iron sharpening conversations. Now I'm super excited because you guys know this season we've been actually exploring a lot of different spaces created by women, and today I wanted to take another pause because you guys know I like to have these little pauses in between we go and have a lot of fun to really soak it all in, because I know you guys have seen a lot of other people, but I want to remind you how you can also be using these tools to strengthen and sharpen yourself and actually come into these spaces and start to explore and use them as well. So I'm super excited. We have Yolanta's here hanging out with us in the treehouse today. Super excited. She actually came in at 4 o'clock on time and have been hanging out. So I'm super grateful that she's seen the notification in Discord. So if you guys aren't there, make sure you join it because those notifications are definitely helpful. And let's get into it. So as I mentioned, one of the first places that I had taken you guys around were a few of my own places where I showed you guys my virtual stores, where I had a brick and mortar kind of store where, you know, it looked very traditional, and then I had another store that looked like it was on a jet, and how you can like spend more to earn the jet, and then the pieces that come in the jet, and really encompass my collectors into the metaverse space to get the physical and digital. And so for me, I started to use things that I was already doing and brought them into the metaverse, right? So for me, that looked like, okay, I'm making tie-dye fashion. And so tie-dye fashion even turned into, okay, well, how can I sell it, right? It started out with me just having this idea on, hey, I love to make clothes and create these fun patterns and these different things, and I want to be able to sell them, but I want to sell them in a new way. And that turned into an NFT. And then it's like, okay, well, if we're doing this in a digital way to be able to reach the globe and, reach customers that are on different continents and collaborators on different continents, what do I have to do in order to really reach that? And it became creating a digital space to really show that full vision to help people understand exactly what I was saying. And that's where it started, not necessarily recreating something, because I think a lot of times when people think about how they can get into NFTs or into the metaverse or in this digital world, they think they have to up and abandon everything that they're already doing. And I know for me personally, it's actually easier to do the opposite, on being able to intertwine a little bit of what I'm doing into this so that they actually strengthen each other, right? I'm a woman, a mom, and I'm very serious about like homeschooling my son, who actually just went to regular school this year. And so that has been a whole nother chapter that we are embarking on right now. And so what that looks like for me is, still educating him, though, using a lot of these tools that we've been doing outside of that. And that looked like what? Me creating a digital school and him coming into the metaverse and streaming like I am and showing other kids how you can play on education.com and pbs.com, things we were already doing, but doing what I'm doing now by turning on the camera to stream it on YouTube, so that we're getting this content that we're doing and putting it out there. Because that is one of those things, once you get your idea, once you figure out how you can get it done, the next thing is you have to start putting it out there once you do have it nice and ready. And I know for myself, I'm always a little hesitant when it comes to when to not put things out, because there is a time to build and there is a time to learn as well. And so on that note, again, you guys know I'm over here just dropping my quick little food for thoughts gems on how you can get started. But even if you aren't ready to cultivate your own idea and see it into fruition, you can even learn so much just by coming into the spaces, right? And that's why we have seen so many different women's spaces and so many more to come, because there are so many, not only women, but just amazing people using the metaverse for so many amazing things. You see Yolanta's right now is actually wearing a Tommy Hilfiger wearable. And if you don't know, here in Spatial, Tommy Hilfiger has a whole entire space where you can go and look at their wearables, and they understand how even something like e-commerce is transforming, and how you start with the wearable, but then that can even evolve to how you get the physical. And again, how these steps that we're taking right now are leading to this bigger picture. So, with that being said, I just really encourage people to be thinking about those steps that you can be taking no matter where you are in your journey, to be putting you in that right direction to where you're heading. Because just like I told you guys, I knew where I was starting and where I was trying to end, right? I wanted to take this physical t-shirt and create a digital companion that I could share across the globe. I wanted to be able to, take one and create multiple from that, fractionalize it and do so much more than you can even really imagine when you have that digital twin. And I understood that, right? And that's what I went after. And you've seen so many people, like last week we explored Tiny Creates, where you've seen, she took something like her garden and her passion for being able to grow her own fruits and vegetables in her own garden and created a whole garden space here in the Metaverse, and just has a meeting once a month where gardeners come and share what they've been doing for their garden and, learning and growing. And you guys see last week we had trivia, and I don't even garden for fruits and vegetables, at least. And I was passing the trivia just because I had learned so much from being in the space with them. And that, again, was even a goal with mine. Like, hey, you know what? One day I'm going to be gardening, and I want to have some kind of understanding. And just from being in that space once a month, congregating with the other women and hearing their own different journeys depending on the regions that they're at, it was such a great new experience, because again, every single woman was in a different state, having different things going on with their garden, but yet some of the things were still the same and consistent, and some had been there, done that, and had been able to share with each other. And again, that's how we can really use these spaces to do different things. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be a store. Sometimes we just meet together to watch YouTube videos together. One girl, Jazzy, she has YouTube videos, and sometimes we just meet in a space to watch her YouTube videos or different things of that nature, to support one another or just discuss and do the things that we're doing on social media, via text, in these digital spaces, and doing them in a new way that's heading us in the direction that we're heading anyways, right? And that's why I, again, always push you guys to think about the bigger picture, where we're heading, and making sure that whatever you're doing aligns with the future, because we know these systems of the past aren't going to be the things that we want to be building on and investing in. You want to be thinking about what's about to happen the next 5 years and what you've got going on and how that adds to it, so that you can be adding to that. So with that being said, I know that was a whole mouthful, but I hope y'all was feeling me, my viewers. Y'all know how we do over here in the Women Treehouse. We gotta get you.
Amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. We gotta have iron sharpening conversations, and I definitely wanted to pass it to you, Miss Yolantis, and see. I posed a question to you at the beginning, which was, how did you get into the Metaverse, and what really helped push you onto the path that you are in now, when you got started?
Wow, this is Yolantis. I got an email from my graphic design guild teaching me about NFTs several years ago. And when I minted my first NFT after a call to art for one of these conventions, now there's 1,000,001, then I started learning about how they would have parties in the Metaverse. And I think my first venture was trying to go into crypto voxels and Decentraland for a New Year's Eve party, I think 2 years ago. Crashed my browser like crazy.
You guys are partying hard.
I saw the potential. And like I started understanding that musicians are loving these metaverse spaces, and I started noticing that there are DJs who are now making their living DJing events within the metaverse, because they get a really broad, wide audience, global audience, like you were saying for your t-shirts. I started following my favorite DJs and going to where they go, learning from them. And I started buying NFTs to get me into future metaverses that are still in development. Yeah. So like, I have a Decentraland world now because I bought my Decentraland name. Um, I have an on-cyber gallery of the NFT artwork that I have collected, and I have a spatial gallery of the NFT artwork I created. I am decorating up 3 Ethereum Towers apartments, which is not released to the public yet, and I'm in beta testing mode for that. And I'm waiting for Cornerstone, and I'm active, just tiny bit active in Upland. I don't really have a lot of time for Upland. I much prefer Decentraland because I can hear music and see my friends and see all the new wearables they get.
Wow, I love that. And I love how you've been really, like you said, collecting NFTs that have been helping you have property and land in these different new spaces, and then putting a gallery there and, you know, really putting your space in there. When you said on cyber, I just seen somebody else come out with that. So it's really cool that, you know, you're pioneering that. So not only are you, you know, being early and learning in yourself, but really being able to be, you know, one of the first on these platforms that are coming out. And a lot of people don't realize how, like, monumental that is when you go into these platforms and you're kind of just exploring, and there's only a few spaces to explore, and then, you know, how much that really maximizes the people that are going to come into your space, and you really meet those, like, cool builders that are first getting into the space, and you just start talking. It's such a awesome time when platforms are, like, up and coming. It feels like, at least in my opinion, we just hop in someone's space and you start talking and, you know, seeing what they're about and asking about their gallery and seeing your work.
I did that this weekend. It was off the cuff. I'm in an innovator's laboratory to make a dynamic NFT, and we're all learning together. A couple of hundred of us are learning together. And I popped into their Discord this weekend, and I said, who wants to see my work in progress screen shared in my spatial metaverse? And somebody raised their hand and said, me, I want to see. And he comes into my spatial metaverse, and I start screen sharing on my auditorium wall, and he was like, I had no idea I could do this.
Wow.
So I'm teaching as I go too.
That's it. And that's even what I was saying. Something as simple as saying, hey, I'm going to screen share. Come into this space and let me screen share this with you, and let's talk about it. Like, how amazing is it to be, and then, like you said, to be able to share that into Discord, where it's like you didn't have to exchange too much intimate information. It's like, here's a link, meet me there, and we'll, you know, talk about everything there, and be able to really experience so much more than we would have been able to. And as we just said, all of these platforms are still up and coming. They learn so much from us as well, and why it's important for us to be building with these tools so that they know what us creators need. You know, like, I'm sure all these platforms, seeing screen sharing was a great asset. Like you said, being able to listen to the music. One of my first events that sold me too was seeing someone streaming their Twitch into the Metaverse, and they had made over like $1,300. And I was like, what? They're over here DJing on Twitch, making like real money, but it's playing here in the Metaverse. And it was just like mind-blowing to see that. Like you said, the DJs really know how to. My husband is a Metaverse DJ now. Like, it's just it's a thing, you know, and it's a big part of this Metaverse, and bringing it all together and getting people in here and understanding, like, the spark in it.
So much fun. I see so much potential. And when I read my newsletters, because I do subscribe to several Metaverse-themed newsletters, and so I'm watching, it's almost a race. It's a IP race, and they're kind of ranking the Metaverses in these newsletters to see who's going to up and come next, you know, who has... they have several parameters that they're ranking these metaverses on, and it's just so much fun to see different metaverse spaces go up and down the ranking list. You know, just one company's ranking, don't put too much weight on it.
That is interesting. You're going to have to drop that newsletter link. Where did you find that? So interesting. I would love to see metaverse updates like that.
Yeah, I've been following that for 1.5 years now. It's Metaverse... ED at the end.
Metaverse ED, okay. Awesome. And you know, while you were talking, I was thinking, you know what would be awesome? What if we went to one of your galleries next, Women in the Metaverse? Because we are open to exploring the next women's space, and we love traveling different metaverses. So did you have like a gallery that you would want us to explore our next meeting or two?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I try to keep it up to date with my most recent artworks, and I have. I've put my most recent one, which was Enter the Vandals on Makerspace, and so that's represented in there. It's visual.
Awesome. Okay, great. Well, that's where we will be next Monday. We would definitely be putting our reminders out, so make sure you guys check out the social media and click the link so that you guys can get into the Discord, get your reminders, and I will share a link for Yolanta's space so that you guys can meet us there next week if you want to tap in. And you said that's your spatial gallery, right?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. Alrighty, well, this has been such a great conversation. I hope you guys have liked it. If you are already in the metaverse, I want you guys to drop it in the comment as well. How did you get into the metaverse, and was there something that really pushed you into the direction that you're heading now? We want to hear about it, and you know we're going to talk about it, and I hope to see you guys next week. Peace.